It's me, Mystical McKay, and I am extremely excited to be starting this, sharing this with you guys. I've probably been trying to learn tarot for about a good 2 years now, but I was doing this thing where I would read one tarot card every single day, and it got a little bit overwhelming. And I don't think I was really taking the time needed in order to really own and learn tarot the correct way. And so now that I'm here on Twitch, I feel like I have the perfect opportunity to finally learn about tarot in a more realistic way, which the general idea is to pick one card a week and let that just kind of be the overall theme of the week so that we have time to reflect on both the light and the shadow aspect of the card that we pulled throughout the whole week. So that's what I'm going to be doing. It's Tarot Tuesday, and I think every single Tuesday at 2 a.m. I'm going to try and pull a card, one tarot card and one angel card, and basically educate myself as much as I possibly can on that particular card, and just use it as kind of a self-development thing so you can be aware of what the theme might be, just something to have in the back of your mind, you know? So, yeah. Very, very exciting. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to log here in on Twitch to see what you guys are doing real quick, and then we can get started, okay? I have Sugar/Jeffrey here beside me as my trusty seed. So, tarot. What the heck is tarot anyway? Some people think that it is a crazy, woo-woo, demonic, ridiculous, stuff that you shouldn't do, but at the end of the day, it really is just a tool that people can use in order to help themselves become more aware of what they got going on inside of themselves. So that's why I love tarot. And I'm just so excited to start actually learning. Today, I pulled these cards on Sunday. So I had 2 days to really learn everything that I can about these two cards for this week. And it was so magical. I fell in love, honestly. Okay, so I don't even know how to start because I'm just excited. All right. So the first card is the tarot card. And it is the beautiful, see if it'll focus. It's the 9 of Swords. Look at that beautiful thing. Reversed. The 9 of Swords reversed. So let's just kind of dissect this card because I learned so much about this card. When you look at it, some people call it, in the upright, people would call it the worst tarot card to get. It doesn't really look like a very positive card when it's upright. You see this woman, and I did a lot of research, and apparently a lot of people couldn't figure out whether it was a woman or a man. It's actually a woman, I figured out, and she's lying in bed. She looks like she just woke up from a horrendous nightmare, and she just jolted up, and she's in so much shock from the nightmare that she just had that she just collapsed. She puts her hands down and her face just falls into her hands because she's in complete despair and distress. And she's got her eyes closed, so she can't really see anything that's in front of her. What is in front of her is this beautiful, looks like a handmade, crocheted or whatever type of blanket, and it has, I don't know if you can see it, but it has the astrological signs on it, and it also has printed roses on it. And roses are obviously a symbol of love and comfort and compassion. So if she were to stop having her eyes completely closed off to what was in front of her, which is compassion and comfort and love, she would maybe realize that she doesn't need to be in so much despair that she's currently in. Then there's obviously 9 swords that are hanging from above her head, and the Suit of Swords represents our mental space and how we choose to go about like difficult situations that involve solving and articulating, and just like our overall mental mind space and how we think, right? So obviously when it's in the Suit of Swords, this means that this person's mindset is they're depressed, they're in despair, they're having anxiety, they have maybe like a bunch of mental breakdowns. Like that's literally the vibe of this card. So she's sitting up in bed, the most distraught, honestly. Like it's like that feeling when you have a nightmare and you wake up only to realize that you're still living in a waking nightmare, in your mind at least. And one of the other details that I noticed underneath, you probably can't see it too well, but her bed frame right here shows thank you for the notifications. I forgot to set them up on this screen for tarot, but I can see them through my phone, so thank you very, very much. Right here, you probably can't see it very well, but I'll tell you what's up. It's like her bed frame. It's so interesting. There's a picture of one person defeating another person. So there's one person who has what looks like kind of like the sword or a knife in their hands, and they're standing over another person who is kind of like on the ground, completely like feeling like they're at the mercy of this person. And I think that that's a really good representation of how the person in this card really feels about life in general. They feel defeated, like they've given everything that they can, and they just keep falling on the floor and getting their knees kicked, and they're just like, okay, I'm down, you can't do anything else to me anymore because you've taken everything type of vibe. So that was my kind of general knowledge, just looking at the actual amazing art that symbolizes the card. Fantastic. I actually found this article. I'm going to show it to you guys, and I just really loved what this person said. I think I got this from the source of tarot.com. Just kind of gives you a little bit more information about the overall vibe of this card, and I really, really liked it. So I'm going to pop it up right here. And it says, the meaning, the 9 of this suit has a special resonance with the Middle Ages because it figures the plight of a woman who is alone in the world during the centuries when women had no personal rights, no ability to inherit property, or use the law in their own defense. We generally see her sitting up in bed, weeping, grieving, and in fear of abandonment because of her vulnerability, wondering what will happen to her now that her protector, father, brother, husband, or son, is gone. And that is like a perfect, what else could work with that any better? Honestly, when you look at this picture, you just see a woman who feels like she has literally lost everything. And you just wake up one night from a horrible nightmare of probably the past. This card has a lot to do, I think, with just like reliving really traumatic past events and not feeling like you can ever get through it. So that's kind of what the card is upright. To keep in mind that we pulled this card in reverse, which honestly could go either way. It could be a more positive card, or it could mean that the sense of despair and anxiety and pain that you've been experiencing has reached such a critically low level that it's become very serious and very dangerous. Thank you guys so very much. Thank you. I love that you guys are here and gifting and commenting. Thank you. So I think with this card, I think it's super important to pull at least another card alongside it so you can get a little bit of confirmation of which way the signs of this card mean, because it could mean something very positive or it could mean something very, very serious. So for this week, we chose the Wheel with this card, which I'm not going to get into this card quite yet right now, but that right there was my confirmation that this is obviously a more positive side of the reversal, which is awesome. So when this card is in reverse, it can mean, first of all, let's talk about the number 9 in Nine of Swords. It represents almost completion, the ending of things. So when it's in a positive light, that can honestly mean more of the struggle being over and you're finally getting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like that's a very good way of describing this when it's in a positive light, is that the pain is finally seeming like it's going to pass and you can actually see the future ahead and it doesn't look as bleak as you may have thought it was. So yeah, it's awesome that that's in the number 9. It's also the card itself is in the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign, which also represents, you know, kind of the headspace type of thing. And Geminis in general can be known for being a little bit bipolar and, you know, kind of having like the roller coaster of thoughts. And so it all resonates. It all resonates. Let me see. I have a couple of notes that I wrote down, but I pretty much... So the key words for this card, obviously, it has the shadow and the light, so you just kind of have to listen to yourself and see which one resonates with you the most. The key words are, even when it's reversed, hopelessness, secrets, coping, recovery, deep fear, despair, getting help, releasing your worries, shame, facing reality, breakdowns, breakthroughs, self-pity, giving up, guilt, hallucinations, seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, psychosis, optimism, and dreams. Thank you! Thank you guys so very much for your gifts. It means the world. Appreciate it. So this card obviously has a lot to do with your dreams. So this week, keep in mind to just pay attention to the kind of dreams that you're having, always, honestly. And if you're struggling, this is a card of... There's so much in this card. It's so crazy how much information comes in one card because so much can be really going on in any aspect of somebody's life. Like, they could be sitting up and just having general anxiety, or they could be having, you know, struggles with their love life and just like fear of something from the past coming up again. Or there's even like a little bit of, since her eyes are closed and she can't see what's going on, there's might be a little bit of denial of the fact that things may not even be as bad as you're making them out to be, but you're refusing to really see the reality of the situation because you just don't want to see it, or you might be in too much pain to even really notice the good stuff quite yet. But usually when it's in reverse, it means that it is a time for you to start moving on, and usually that also means that you're kind of ready to start moving forward from the past events. Either way. So I wrote this little thing down that says, your negative thoughts contradict reality, and you may need to accept that you need help and support from others. You may be incredibly hard on yourself. Observe your self-talk. That's another thing with this card. And this is where it kind of hits a little bit close to home for me as far as what I've been going through the past couple of months. It's been a very dark period for me, to be quite honest, and I've only been feeling a little bit better probably a week or two ago after I started seeking therapy and getting a little bit of help myself and just kind of integrating the parts of me that I knew needed some love and attention. So that's a lot about what this card in reversal is about. Like, finally accepting that some things might be out of your own control and you might need to seek external help from others, from family and friends, and some professional help, which can be difficult and very hard. And there's also a huge undertone of not being nice to yourself. Even when it's in reverse, this is kind of like your sign to say, hey, you need to work on your self-talk and the way that you choose to perceive yourself, because it's such a huge impact on how you go about your day and how your overall life is going to turn out. So keep that in mind. Definitely something that I've had to think about this week when I pulled this card is like, wow, like sometimes you can be literally your own worst critic. And I feel like that's one of the main things about this card is beating yourself up and just not treating yourself with kindness. So keep that in mind for sure. You might have worked through these negative thoughts and now feel a sense of hope awakening from the nightmare, or a desire to do so at least. And you might see, this is another big thing when it's in reversed, is that you can actually finally see the value in the things that had happened to you from the past. It can be very hard when you're in the thick of something to be just like, why the fuck is this happening to me, right? And you can't see the value in it at all because you're hurting and you're in pain and you feel like the only thing that you've gotten from this is loss. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So definitely something to keep in mind there too. Just to kind of notice, if you can, look back and be like, yo, I can totally see how this has served me. Like, I can talk about from my personal experience. I have been working really, really hard to try to find some kind of platform that would allow me to just express myself and really be who I truly am, which can be kind of crazy. I'm aware of that. And I tried to put myself out there on what is the most popular streaming platform at the moment, which is TikTok. And I ended up getting banned on there 4 times for not really doing anything wrong. I was just kind of authentically expressing myself, which can always be a little saucy and eccentric. And there are people out there on there who are just not people who are there to support people. So I got banned 4 times and it destroyed me in a really interesting way. And I just felt like anywhere I went from that point forward, I was just going to get rejected. And there was no place for me. And in order for me to be successful or have the things that I want, I'd have to change myself and water myself down and basically be who I know I am not in order to be likable and be seen as someone who has any value in the world. And it destroyed me because I knew I couldn't even try to do that for a millisecond. I've done that before, and I'm not in a space in my life right now where I can pretend to be anything that I am not, because it's just too uncomfortable. So that's a whole thing about this. When I found Twitch, I feel like this card is just me finally being able to live stream on Twitch and do all of the things that I love, and finally having that light at the end of the tunnel saying, yes, you can do all the things that you want. It is possible. And that was something that I was never really told growing up either, is that all the things that I want is, in my hands and in my control, and I can do it how I want it done, how I can see it in my vision, in my mind's eye. So this was an amazing card for me to get. Honestly, I loved it. So just a quick, general, love meaning. There can be, I wanted to mention this too, as far as, obviously when your eyes are closed, there's a lot of things that you're not seeing. So if this is in a love category, it could mean that you're just getting help from them and finally opening up to them about, some internal struggles that you've been having. There can be a little bit of some deception going on when this card is in reverse in love. There's something that's not being seen, and when you wake up feeling anxious and it just feels like something's not quite right, and you're getting some strange dreams about your partner or anything of that likeliness, just know that there's a little undertone of that. So if you've been feeling like there's something like that in one of your relationships and someone's not being quite honest about something, just look into that. So, and when it's in your career, it can mean kind of what I was experiencing in my life is a little bit of clarity in your workplace and feeling a little bit more secure in where you're going and confident in yourself. And also, kind of like you still see the struggles ahead, but you realize that it's manageable and it's something that you're almost kind of excited to take on because it's new and it's going to get you where you know you want to go. In health, it can mean overcoming your depression and anxiety, getting professional help, finally feeling like, okay, I'm ready to let some shit go, and not being afraid to open up to somebody in that way. Feeling more confident in yourself and your body as well. And then if you are experiencing the shadow aspects of this reversal card, that could mean that obviously you feel like your health is declining in a certain aspect, or you may be experiencing hallucinations, psychosis, certain things like that. So you got to be mindful of that as well if you're feeling more of the shadow side. We shouldn't be, because it also came with the wheel this week, but just something to keep in mind throughout the whole week is that there's both a shadow and a light to both any card, and you got to keep in mind, okay? And then in spirituality, it could mean overcoming darkness, seeing the light, potential feelings of remorse, regret, and guilt that are signs that it is a time to try to make mental shifts. And a refusal to reflect. That might be another thing. Anytime someone's like, got their peepers closed, it means that they're not choosing to see something that is right there in front of them. So, yeah, there's that with that card. I don't know if there's really anything other than that with that card, honestly. I was going to say, I don't know if I should do this. I'll do it at the end. I'm just going to do a quick review of, there's not much to say about this angel card because it's kind of just right out there in front of you. We have the 10th card. It is the wheel with Archangel Jeremiel. I think it's Jeremiel. And look at him. It's kind of shiny. My bad. There we go. So we have Archangel Jeremiel. He's flying in the sky. There's a wheel, obviously. Talking about the wheels. And there's like a lush green pasture right behind him. Very, very positive. And there's like a bright blue cloudy sky. He's over by a mountain. There's even a cabin. Looks like a very homey appearance to it. And it says new beginnings, the end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness. And when I pulled this card alongside with this card, I literally dropped it, and I got really emotional, honestly, because there's like no two cards that would have fit for me personally better. If I pulled any other card, it wouldn't have been as accurate as this. So when I just saw new beginnings, the end of delays, a change in direction that offers happiness, like how spot on could you get? And I'll just read a little tiny description. This is also from, I think his name, Radley Valentine. He is a angel card expert. Oh my gosh, and he makes his own angel cards and a description with them. I love him so much. If you're interested in learning more about angels and doing some angel card work, then I would definitely recommend getting one of his decks because they're my favorite. So it says, exciting changes are coming. The wheel spins with the power of life and turns to bring your prosperous new opportunities. If you've been finding it difficult to get your plans off the ground, that will change now. Sudden movement forward is likely. While the idea of change can sometimes be worrying to some people, you must trust and know that the universe wants you to be happy. Unexpected events are made to point you in the direction that will bring you a more joyful and fulfilling life. If you feel uncertain, ask Archangel Jeremiel to give you a clear understanding of where you're headed. Additional meaning of this card is a fresh start, optimism for the future, and ability to adapt. Wow. And then there's just a little information about the actual Archangel Jeremiel. Archangel Jeremiel is the angel who can help us see our lives more clearly so that we can make assessments about changing circumstances. His name means the mercy of God, and he assists those wanting to review their pasts in a kind and forgiving way. Archangel Jeremiah, I don't know if it's Miel or Mile, it's probably Mile. He gives us the ability to inspire great visions for the future. Call upon him to help when you're seeking inspiration on how to successfully make amazing changes in your life. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for being in here with me. Okay, so I had a couple of more slides actually about the Nine of Swords reverse, and I just felt like they were so spot on, and they, warmed up my heart, so I thought I'd share them with you. I think I know what the sources are of them too. I hope. Let's see. Yes, I remember. I got this from Elliot Oracle. He was one of the first sources that I went to when I was looking up some general information about the tarot, and his description of it was my favorite one of them all. I actually ended up buying one of his tarot card books because of how much I just loved the way that he articulated this. So I'm just going to read it out loud. Have you ever encountered your inner saboteur? Have people ever told you that you are talented, an amazing person, and yet you cannot believe it? Have you been letting your shadow sabotage you and thwart what you think is possible for your own future? And he called it a man, but I actually ended up finding out that it is indeed a woman. The woman on this card just cannot sleep. Her mind has been overthrown by shadow, thinking she is in the dark, the realm of anxiety. Her mind has been racing all night, cycling from fear about the future to guilt about the past, to self-loathing for not having the control in the present. Her inner saboteur is holding her hostage, making her forget the light of how valuable she is. Okay, look closely at the paneling on the bed. She is submitted to her attacker, her inner saboteur. But even now, there is still hope. She just can't see it now because she is covering her eyes. Look at this quilt. And we saw it. I loved this quilt. When I saw it, I was just like, oh my gosh. She's so comfy and cozy, but her mind is so in a state of distress that she can't even comprehend what's really happening in reality. Crazy, right? Okay, so then I found this one, which I believe is still from Elliot. And it says, today, stand up to shadow thinking. When your inner saboteur says that you can't do something, you do it anyway. When it says you should feel like crap, do something good for someone. If it seizes you in the shadows, light a candle and go to a mirror. Remind yourself that you are luminous, loving, and have a life's purpose that doesn't include shooting yourself in the foot. If you periodically struggle with shadows, it's just proof that your spirit radiates a unique and luminous light. Okay, and I just had one more. And it's a long one. Life has been presenting you with challenges that have tested your faith in yourself. You may have had to accept that it is okay to walk away from something that is toxic. And to be true to your path. Fears and nightmares aren't facts. They do not rule you, and neither do superstitions or omens or other people's opinions. Free yourself and shift your perspective. Remember the sun card with a child on it, which is so funny. Actually, I totally forgot to mention this. As I was shuffling for this card, for this deck, I managed to just see the sun card while I was like separating them, and I was like, ooh, because that always means something when you just happen to see a card in the midst of you finding the main card. So that was so crazy when I saw that. I literally started crying. I'm trying not to cry now. Remember the sun card with the child on it? To escape the dread of fear. Look on life with wondrous eyes of a child. See the magic in existing at this moment in time. Remember the vastness of the universe and all of its wonders. It's so much bigger than what you are afraid of. See the radiant light that protects and assists you every day. Switch mental gears. If you can't sleep, get up and shift your thoughts for a bit. Read something that always brings you comfort. Remember your source of joy. There are even more joyful times to come. The light always returns. Day always follows night. Every time you choose to stand up to fear, you become more aligned with the light and your authentic self. Everything is going to turn out better than your fear. It always does. And that is what I could accumulate from the Nine of Swords reverse and the wheel together. Before we go, I actually did this really crazy thing that I wasn't even trying to do, but the divine spirit always takes its own way. As I was doing the reading, I was listening to music, and I was just kind of letting whatever song, come to my mind. Whatever it was, I was like, I'm not going to skip it for some reason. And while I was doing it, I realized that a lot of the songs that were playing were in accordance to the actual vibe of the Nine of Swords reverse. So I started writing them all down, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So I actually ended up making a playlist on my YouTube channel. You could look at it right now under Mystical McKay. I think I titled it Nine of Swords reversed vibes or theme song or something like that. But I'm gonna list all the songs that I heard, and I thought that just resonated so well with the card, and it was crazy. They were back to back, and I just kept writing them all down. So I'm gonna make a list of them, and you can either check out my YouTube channel, or as I read this, I want you to pay very, very close attention to which song calls out to you, whichever one it is, and then I want you to go look it up after this and see if the song resonates with you. Okay? Cool. So the first one I wrote down was Lullaby by Nickelback. Then there was Crystal Ball by Pink. Lay by Matt Duke. One Sweet Love by Sarah Bareilles. Ironic by Alanis Morissette. Unrequited Love by Breakup Shoes. Already Home by A Great Big World. New You by Gone West. Weaponry by Mike Posner. Time of My Life by David Cook. Getting Late by Rob Thomas. Addict with a Pen by 21 Pilots. In My Younger Days by The Eels. The Fault in Our Stars by Troye Sivan. La Vie et Allure by Cour de Paris, which is a French song, but if you look up the English translation, it fits so well. Oh my gosh. Changes by Stars. Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. And The Drug in Me Is You by Falling in Reverse. And those were the songs that just kept back to back. And it was this resonates so crazy. I felt like I was it's wild. I wonder if this is just what's going to keep happening now that I started doing tarot cards once a week. It's just going to be every song I hear is oh my gosh, this works with the card, So yeah, I'm so excited about doing this. I finally feel like I have the motivation and inspiration to learn everything I possibly can about one specific card a week so that I can correctly share what I am learning with you guys. So thank you for being my viewers. Once again, our cards are the Nine of Swords and the Wheel. You can always look up some more information for yourself, and just keep in mind that this is the vibe of the rest of the week. So we're here on Tuesday. We've already had 2 days of the Nine of Swords reversed vibes, and it's just something to keep in mind for the rest of the week. KK? Alright then. I guess I'll see you guys next Tuesday for our other tarot reading, whatever that may be. I hope to see you. Cool. Thank you. Bye. Love you.